There are a few seats towards the front if you're looking for a seat with space. You can move up a little bit. You okay? Oh, okay. All right. There's more coming? Oh, okay. Stay out of the way of all these cameras. It looks like that's it. We can start, right? Yeah. Welcome to the 8th annual recitation contest at岐阜聖徳学園 University. I'm very pleased to see a number of people in the audience here, and I'm sure that the reciters, speakers will be happy to see you too. Before we begin, we will have a few remarks of greeting from the Dean of the Faculty of Foreign Languages, Professor Isaji.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the 8th hour recitation contest. And in the 7th past recitation contest, many participants made a wonderful speech and a wonderful recitation and impressed us a lot. And I believe also the participants this year will make the wonderful presentation. And to the participants, where are the participants? Over there? Okay, I believe you have already practiced a lot, day in and day night, and your English improved a lot. So you have done enough. So you don't have to be so nervous. What you have to do is just relax and do your best. Lastly, I'd like to give you a piece of advice. This is the same thing that one of the judges made last year. It is, don't speak too fast. Don't speak too fast for you. If you speak too fast for you, your pronunciation and the English rhythm collapse. So what is important is not to speak very fast, but to make yourself understood by the audience. So keep this advice in mind on this stage. Now it's time to begin, and good luck to the participants and the audience. in this room and over the looking at on the internet. Now let's enjoy together. It's time to enjoy the showtime. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Isagi. And just before we begin, I would like to do a few matters of housekeeping. Well, housekeeping and explanation of the format of the speeches, format of the recitation contest, and about the judging. You can see here the criteria that will be used for judging the recitations. The first category, or the first criterion, is English phonemes for 10 points. This is pronunciation. So if a student or a reciter has checked, has practiced their pronunciation, they will do well here. The next is English prosody, stress, intonation, and rhythm. If a reciter has practiced a lot, and if they understand what they are saying, they will do very well here. And the third is presence. Presence is hard to define, but here are some of the points to keep in mind. Is he or she looking up, not down? Using proper and effective gestures? And if so, this will give a comfortable feeling to the recitation. Also, a perfect memorization of the script with no unintentional pauses or stuttering, with proper gestures and eye contact. Now, I would like to introduce the judges for this year. Excuse me, and I'll introduce them from my right to left. And when I do so, please briefly stand up and nod to the audience so they'll know who you are. First, we have David Barker from Gifu University. Rachel Emery. I knew I'd get that wrong. Rachel Emery, who is an ALT in Gifu City Public Schools. And Mike Stockwell from Sugiyama University in Nagoya. Before I go on to introduce the first speaker, I will also mention a couple points. First of all, some of the speeches will have strong language, which some people may find offensive. So please bear that in mind. Also, if you are one of the speakers who wants to have a mic attached to your body before you go up, please come here 1 minute in advance to be fitted with the mic. Thank you. Okay, and now we'll go on to the list of presenters, which is very long this year, so we're in for a treat. And without further ado, we will move on to the first presenter, Yamato Matsubara, who will be reciting Justin Trudeau's speech, Do Small Things in a Big Way. Let's welcome Yamato.
Now, I know that many convocation speeches hinge on the variation of the do big things mantra, and it's important. But I also think that it's equally important to talk about the idea of doing the small things in a big way. Maybe doing small things in a big way means giving that extra $10 a month to charity if you really believe in it. Or sending your mom flowers on a day other than Mother's Day. Or striking up a friendly conversation with someone who looks totally different from you. Or trading your car for a bike when the sun's out. Whether you realize it or not, these things matter. That extra $10 just bought textbooks for a girl trying to get an education. Those flowers, well, they just made your mom's whole week. Your new friend's story will help you understand your own identity in a totally different light. And that bike, well, that bike is saving the planet. Your actions, today and tomorrow, big and small, have an impact. So be kind, say please and thank you, and hold that door. At this exact moment, you are worried about what you are going to do, but don't worry about that stuff. Figure out instead who you are going to be. The rest will follow. So let me leave you with this. If it excites you a lot and scares you a little, then you should probably do it. Be bold, be brave, be open to the incredible opportunities in front of you. We need you. The world needs you. So be the best versions of yourselves and go make us all proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Ms. Sakura Fukumoto. Trust Yourself by Selena Gomez. Welcome, Sakura.
I'm surrounded by people who are supposed to guide me, and some of them have, and others haven't. They pressure me. There's so much pressure. You gotta be sexy, you gotta be cute, you gotta be nice, you gotta be all these things. And I'm sure you can all relate. You all have a pressure that you have to deal with every day. I'm sure at school, at work, at friends, with parents, with family, with parents. I know sometimes with mine. They tell me what to wear, how to look, what I should say, how I should be. Until recently, I had given into that pressure. I lost sight of who I was. I listened to opinions of people, and I tried to change who I am because I thought that others would accept me for it. And I realized I don't know how to be anything but myself. And all I really want you to know is that you are changing the world. I'm not changing the world. You are changing the world. And that's amazing. Please, please just be kind to each other and love and inspire people, because let's do it. Let's do it. Let's change the game. Let's change the game. The most important thing is that we learned and we continue to learn from each other. Please stay true to yourself. Please just remain who you are and know that we have each other's back. All of us have each other's back. I want you to know that I know what it's like. Figuring out what types of friends you have, you are who you surround yourself with. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mana Matsuura, who will be reciting Emma Watson's speech, Gender Equality is Your Issue Too.
In my nervousness for this speech, and in my moments of doubt, I would told myself firmly, if not me, who? If not now, when? If you have similar doubts when opportunities are presented to you, I hope that those words will be helpful. Because the reality is that if we do nothing, it will take 75 years, or for me to be nearly 100, before women can expect to be paid the same as men for the same work. 15.5 million girls will be married in the next 16 years as children. And at current rate, it won't be until 2086 before all rural African girls can have a secondary education. If we believe in equality, you might be an adult feminist, and for this, I applaud you. We are struggling for a uniting world, but the good news is that we have a uniting movement. It is called he for she. I am inviting you to step forward, to be seen, and to ask yourself, if not me, who? If not now, when? Thank you very, very much.
Our next speaker is Haruka Hashimoto. Three-wheeled classroom comes to Philippine tribe.
The elder people live in distant mountainous part of the island Luzon in the Philippines. The coronavirus pandemic forced their schools to close earlier this year. A group of teachers living nearby worried about the effect on children. So they started to deliver school materials in a new way. Other students in the Philippines have been able to take online classes. But other people living in the mountains north of Manila have no internet connection, or even television for distance learning. Christopher Sensem is one of the teachers behind the project from the Villa Maria Integrated School. He and the other teachers thought of a different way to bring learning to the villages in the rural area of Pampanga. They used old bookshelves and wooden boards to make a moving learning center. It has a large computer screen and rests on top of a motorcycle rickshaw. Teachers first videos on their mobile phones. Then they play the videos on the screen to help children with lessons. So far, other students have reacted well to the classes. Their parents were happy that classes had begun again. The teachers say, "Thank you."
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Sayoko Okamoto. Trust Yourself by Selena Gomez.
I'm not an activist. I haven't changed the world already campaign. I'm here to just tell you my path so that you hopefully can take something away from it. So I'm 21 and my mom had me when she was 16. And I'm from Grand Prairie, Texas, and she worked 4 jobs and completely dedicated her life to making mine better. So to me, she is a definition of a strong woman. And I love her so much because she taught me those values so much. I have been acting my entire life. When I was 7, I wanted to be an actress and I wanted to live my dream. And when I was 11, I had a casting director tell that I wasn't strong enough to carry my own show. And I'm sure all of you have been told that you don't have what it takes and you may not be good enough, you don't have enough people supporting you, and you have been all these things when deep down it's all you wanted to do. You want to be a part of something great. You want to make something great. And it does more than knock the wind out of you. It crushes you when people trying to tell you you're good enough. And it almost did for me, but there was my mom next to me, stronger than ever, and she said, the most important thing is trust in myself. If I'm doing because I love it, I should do it because I love it. And I believe that I can do it. So 2 years later, I got my own show, and I thought about what my mom said. My mom is like, you have to trust yourself, and I realized if I didn't believe that I could do it, I wouldn't be able to hear. I have so much to be thankful for. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ayumi Shimizu, white privilege.
We learned your French. We learned your English. We learned your Spanish. We learned your Dutch, your Portuguese, your German. You learned our nothing. You called us stupid. That's white privilege. What is white privilege? It is only time thousands of white people cheering for the black kids to win is in the stadium. It is you looking at me crazy if I told you to go back to Europe, even though we didn't have a say. It is you all of a sudden having a problem with immigration. Like, this isn't even your nation. How the hell do you discover some shit that wasn't even missing to begin with? You've Columbused our traditions. Oh, I make you uncomfortable. Try a cramped slave ship, but wait! Slavery is over now. It's just called prison systems. What is white privilege? It is the acceptance of bombs over Baghdad, not over Boston. It is in European history being thought as a major and African as an elective. It is every white boy who wanted to fuck my brains out, not because I'm pretty, but because I'm pretty for black girl. It is people thinking that Africa is one nation. It is people saying that black people destroy neighborhood, but forgetting that white people destroy their continent. It is the justification of police brutality like, what did a person do? I'm sure it doesn't hurt as much when the victim doesn't look like you. It is big plastic asses that are called fat when we naturally have them. It is an Australian woman who's the new classic of rap music. It is everyone who hears these poems dismisses all the truth. I just spit as reverse racism. That is white privilege. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Naoki Tashiro, Breaking the Language Barrier by Tim Donner.
So, about 2 years ago, I was featured in a New York Times article called Adventures of a Teenage Polyglot. which featured my passion for learning foreign languages. So, as I began to see, there is an enormous connection between language and the culture, language and thought. And quite honestly, if you want to learn Persian, for example, you pick up a dictionary, you say, oh, I know how to say, how much is this? Oh, I speak Persian. Probably not. Let's see actually. In fact, if you want to buy something in a Persian bookstore, you might ask someone, how much is this? Gently, he will tell you this. Gaberina dale, which means it's worthless. But this is something you really have to understand the culture to get. I don't want to exoticize this, because think about it. We have this in English all the time. If you ask somebody, how are you? What are you expecting to hear? I'm fine. If you tell me anything else, sorry, I'm not interested. There is so much language can tell you about one culture's mindset. And in fact, on planet Earth, every 2 weeks, another language dies. No more people speaking it. Now again, you brushing up on your Spanish, going to Japanese class is not going to stop language death. But what it does do is begin to open up your mind to that language, in essence, represents a cultural worldview. And if I can impart to you anything today, is this. You can translate words easily, but you can't quite translate meaning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will have an interval of 5 minutes. We will have 2 intervals during this recitation contest, and since we have so many speakers, we're going to keep them to 5 minutes sharp. So please be back in 5 minutes.
ない他にもうないんですよね。
All right, welcome back. We've already had several great recitations and we have a lot more coming, so please have a seat. And I'll introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Ryoma Akie. He will do Derek Sivers' speech, Keep Your Goals to Yourself.
Everyone, please think of your biggest personal goal. Okay? Okay? For real, you can take a second. You gotta feel this to learn it. Take a few seconds and think of your personal biggest goal. Okay? Imagine deciding right now that you're going to do it. Imagine telling someone that you meet today what you're going to do. Imagine their congratulations and their high image of you. Doesn't it feel good to say it out loud? Well, bad news. You should have kept your mouth shut, because that good feeling now will make you less likely to do it. Repeated psychology tests have proven that telling someone your goal makes them less likely to happen. Anytime you have a goal, there are some steps that need to be done, some work that needs to be done in order to achieve it. Ideally, you will not be satisfied until you actually done the work. But when you tell someone your goal and they acknowledge it, psychologists have found that it's called a social reality. The mind is kind of tricked into the feeling that it's already done. And then because you felt that satisfaction, you're less motivated to do the actual hard work necessary. So if this is true, what can we do? Well, you could resist the temptation to announce your goal. you can delay the gratification that this social acknowledgement brings, and you can understand that you mind mistakes that talking for the doing. But if you do need to talk about something, you can state it in a way that gives you no satisfaction. So audience, next time you're tempted to tell someone your goal, what will you say? Exactly, well done.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Takefumi Ariga. Z. Frank, are you human?
This is the human test, a test to see if you are a human. Please raise your hand if something applies to you. That includes students watching me on the screen. The camera is that one. Hello? And that one too, right? Hello? So, are we agreed? Yes? Yes? Then let's begin. Have you ever eaten a booger long past your childhood? You don't have to look around, it's okay. It's safe here, yes? Yes? Yes. Thank you for being honest. So, have you ever made a small, weird sound when you remembered something embarrassing? Like, yes? Yes. Have you ever put on a pair of pants and then, much later, realized there was a loose sock smushed up against your thigh? That's not so many. I see. Have you ever tried to guess someone's password so many times that it locked their account? Yes, yes. That's a lot. Interesting. So, have you ever broken something in real life and then found yourself looking for an undo button in real life? Have you ever had a conversation with yourself and suddenly realized you are a real asshole to yourself? Yes. Have you ever thought that working on an issue was futile because it should just be easier than this? Have you ever woken up blissfully and suddenly being flooded by the awful remembrance that someone had left you? Have you ever looked back on that event with a sad smile of autumn and the realization that futures will happen regardless? Congratulations, now you have completed the test. You are all human.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Seijin An. These bacteria eat plastic.
Plastics. You know about them? Plastics. You know about them? You may not love them, but chances are you use them every single day. By 2050, researchers estimate that there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Despite our best efforts, only 9% of all plastic we use winds up being recycled. So how did we wind up with so much plastic waste? Well, it's simple. Plastic is cheap, durable, adaptable, and it's everywhere. But the good news is there's something else that's cheap, durable, adaptable, and everywhere. And my research shows it may even be able to help us with our plastic pollution problem. I'm talking about bacteria. Bacteria live everywhere, in all sorts of diverse and extreme environments. So, after noticing this, and after learning about all of the creative ways that bacteria find food, I started to think, could bacteria in plastic polluted environments have figured out how to use plastic for food? Well, this is the questions that I decided to pursue a couple of years ago. The process of bacteria eating plastic is actually a natural one, but it's an incredibly slow process, and there remains a lot of work to be done to figure out how to use plastic for food. Imagine one day being able to dispose of all of your plastic waste in a bin at the curb. Then you knew was planned for a dedicated bacteria-powered plastic waste facility. I think, with some hard work, this is an achievable reality.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ryoka Ito. Alan Watts' speech, The Story of the Chinese Farmer.
Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who lost a horse. It ran away. And all the neighbors came around that evening and said, "Ooh, that's too bad." And he said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse came back and brought 7 wild horses with it. And all the neighbors came around and said, "Why, that's great, isn't it?" And he said, "Maybe." The next day, his son, who was attempting to tame one of these horses while riding it, was thrown and broke his leg. And all the neighbors came around in the evening, then said, "Well, that's too bad, isn't it?" And the farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the conscription officers came around to conscript people into the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. And all the neighbors came around at the evening and said, "Oh, isn't that wonderful?" And he said, "Maybe." The whole process of nature is an integrated process of immense complexity. And it is really impossible to tell whether anything that happens in it is good or bad. Because you never know what will be the consequences of the misfortune. Or you never know what will be the consequences of good fortune. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ryoma Nagao. Malcolm X's fiery speech addressing police brutality.
We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we are going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or safe from us is come together against the common enemy. Who told you to hate the texture of your hair? Who told you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who told you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who told you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who told you to hate your own kind? Who told you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Mohammed does he teach hate, you should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you? And I, for one as a Muslim, believe that the white man is intelligent enough if he were made to realize how black people really feel and how fed up we are without a lot of compromise in sweet talk. Stop sweet talking him. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what kind of hell you've been catching, and let him know that he is not ready to clean his house up. If he's not ready to clean his house up, he shouldn't have a house. Should catch on fire and burn down.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Misato Hirose with UN Women speech by Meghan Markle.
Good evening. I am tremendously honored to be the UN Women's Advocate for Political Participation and Leadership. UN Women, as you guys know, has defined the year 2030 as the expiration date for gender inequality. And here's what's staggering. The studies show that at the current rate, the elimination of gender inequality won't be possible until 2095. That's another 80 years from now. And when it comes to women's political participation and leadership, the percentage of female parliamentarians globally has only increased by 11% since 1995. 11% in 20 years? Come on! This has to change! Women make up more than half of the world's population and potential. So it is neither just nor practical for their voices, for our voices to go unheard at the highest levels of decision making. Women need a seat at the table. They need an invitation to be seated there. And in some cases, where this isn't available, well then you know what? They need to create their own table. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Natsumi Kawashima, Women's Day Address by Anne Hathaway at the UN.
When I was still a child, My father developed my sense of direction. And now, as an adult, I trust my ability to navigate space. My father helped give me the confidence to guide myself through the world. Let us lead by example in creating a world in which women and men are not economically punished for wanting to be parents. I don't mean to imply that you need to have children to care about and benefit from this issue. Whether or not you have or want kids, you will benefit by living in a more evolved world with policies not based on gender. We all benefit living in more compassionate time, where our needs do not make us weak, they make us fully human. Every generation must find their north. When women around the world demanded the right to vote, we took a fundamental step towards equality. North. When same-sex marriage was passed in the US, we put an end to a discriminatory law. North. When men, like the men in this room and around the world, the ones we cannot see, the ones who support us in ways we cannot know but we feel, when they answered Emma Watson's call to be he for she, the world grew. North. We must ask ourselves, how will we be more tomorrow than we are today? The whole world grows when people like you and me take a stand, because we know that beyond the idea of how women and men are different, there is a deeper truth, that love is love and parents are parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lisa Shimojo, A Story Like Mine.
Hello, hello. How are you guys? I don't really know how to do a speech unless rhyme, so I'm gonna do a little poem for you guys. You see, I've worked every day since I was 18. I've toured everywhere from Japan to Mar-a-Lago. I even went to stays up in Chicago when I was having a miscarriage. I mean, I pipe at a pipe, I put on a diaper and sing it must print to a room of teens. What do you mean it's happened to me? You can't put your hands on me. You don't know what my body has been through. I'm supposed to be safe now. I earned it. It's 2018, and I've realized nobody is safe as long as she's alive. And every friend that I know has a story like mine. And the world tells me we should take it as a compliment. But the heroes like Astrid and Simone and Gabi, Makeda and Gaga, Rosario Ali, reminded me this is a beginning, it is not the finale, and that's why we're here, and that's why we rally. It's Olympians and a medical resident and a war-freaking robber and the mayor was the president. It's about closed doors and secrets and legs and stiletto from the Hollywood Hills to the project in ghettos. When babies are lifted from the arms of teen mothers and child brides cry. Globally under the covers, who don't have a voice on the magazine covers. They tell us take cover. But we are not free until all of us are free. So love your neighbor, please treat your country, ask our story, and shut up and listen. Black, Asian, poor, wealthy, Jewish, cis, Muslim, Christian, listen, listen, and they yell at the top of your lungs, be a voice for all those who have a prisoner tongues, for the people who had it to grow up way too young. There's a work to be done, there's songs to be sung. Roll know there's a war to be won. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have our second 5-minute interval. So I'll see you again in 5 minutes exactly.
What do we do for the prizes? Are we going to
ask them to stay up here, or?
Yes, and last year I heard that the first prize winner can get to choose whichever they want.
Right.
And maybe we can ask them to come up here. Pick a prize on this table.
We will be starting the third portion of our recitations very soon, so please come in and have a seat. And before we begin, I would like to tell you or remind you, you may have seen the QR code on the bottom right of your paper, of the program paper. You can use that code to leave comments for any of the speakers. Please encourage them, tell them what you liked, and use it freely to communicate with the speakers, tell them your opinion. Thank you. And we'll move on to the next speaker who's ready, Shogo Miyagawa, who will be giving the Stanford commencement speech by Steve Jobs.
About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. This was a process I've been to facing death, and I hope it's the process I get for a few more decades. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you with a bit more certainty than when death was a useful but purely intellectual concept. No one wants to die. Even people want to get to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is a destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mai Watanabe, the Hana Harvard's Humanitarian Award.
Fast forward to 2012, when my grandmother, the late Kulala, passed away. She lost her battle with cancer, which is the very reason and driving force behind the Kulala Lionel Foundation. We all human, and we all just want a chance at life, a chance in education, a chance at the future, really. And the CLF mission is to impact as many lives as possible. But it starts with just one. Just one. As I stare out into this beautiful room, I see optimism, I see hope, I see the future. I know that each and every one of you has the opportunity to help someone else. All you need to do is help one person, expecting nothing in return. To me, that is a humanitarian. People make it seem way too hard, man. The truth is, and the girl watching those commercials didn't know, is that you don't have to be rich to be a humanitarian. You don't have to be rich to help somebody. You don't gotta be famous. You don't even have to be college educated. But it starts with a neighbor, the person right next to you, the person sitting next to you in class, the kid on the block in your neighborhood. You just do whatever you can in any way that you can. Today, I want to challenge each of you to make a commitment to help one person, one organization, one situation that touches your heart. My grandmother always used to say, if you got $1, there is plenty to share. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was my honor.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Azuki Shimo. Michael Jackson. Sadly, we live in a state of fear.
Sadly, we live in a state of fear. Every day we hear of war. On the news, on the radio, on television, and newspapers, always of war. We hear of nations hurting each other, of neighbors hurting each other, of families hurting each other, and children killing each other. We must learn to live and love each other before it's too late. We have to stop. We have to stop the prejudice. We have to stop the hating, and we have to stop living in fear of our own neighbors. I'd like all of you now to take the hand of the person to the left and to the right of you. Go ahead right now. I mean it. Don't be shy. Do it. It starts now. Now tell the person next to you that you care for them. Tell them that you care for them. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you love them. This is what makes a difference. Together, we can make a change of the world. Together, we can help to stop racism. Together, we can help to stop prejudice. We can help the world live without fear. It is our only hope. Without hope, we are lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Haruka Watabe. Emma Watson's speech, Gender Equality is Your Issue Too.
Today, we are launching a campaign called He for She. I'm reaching out to you because we need your help. We want to end gender inequality. And to do this, we need everyone involved. We want to try and galvanize as many men and boys as possible to be advocate for change. We don't just want to talk about it. We want to try make sure it is tangible. Gender equality is your issue too. Because to date, I've seen my father's world as a parent being valued less by society, despite my needing his presence as a child as much as my mother. I've seen young men suffering from mental illness, unable to ask for help, for fear it will make them less of a man. In fact, in the UK, suicide is the biggest killer of men. Between 20 to 49, eclipsing road accident, cancer, and coronary heart disease. I've seen men made fragile and insecure by a distorted sense of what constitutes male success. Men don't have the benefit of equality either. We don't want to talk about men being imprisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are. And when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. We are struggling for a uniting world, but the good news is that we have the uniting movement. It is called He for She. I'm inviting you to step forward, to be seen, and ask yourself, if not me, who? If not now, when? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Marina Saiki, Trust Yourself by Selena Gomez.
I'm sure all of you have been told that you don't have enough people supporting you and you may not be good enough. And you may not be good enough and you don't have enough people supporting you and you've been told all of these things when deep down it's all you want to do. You want to be a part of something great. You want to make something great. And it does more than knock the wind out of you, crushes you. And it does when people try to tell you that you're not good enough. And it almost did for me, but there was my mom next to me, stronger than ever. And she said the most important thing is to always trust in myself. If I'm doing something because I love it, and I should do it because I love it, and I believe I can do it. And I'm sure you can all relate. You all have pleasure you have to deal with every day. I'm sure at school, at work, with friends, with parents, with family. I know sometime with mine. They tell me what to wear, how to look, what I should say, how I should be. Until recently, I had given into that pressure. I lost sight of who I was. I listened to opinions of people, and I tried to change who I am because I thought that others would accept me for it. And I realized I don't know how to be anything but myself. And all I really want you to know is that you are changing the world. I'm not changing the world, you are changing the world, and that's amazing. Please just be kind to each other and love and inspire people because let's do it. Let's change the game. Let's change the game.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Chiharu Tomita, Brennan Brown's on empathy.
So what is empathy and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy feels connection, Sympathy drives this connection. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, we climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you are not alone. Sympathy is, oh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely ever does empathic response begin with at least. Yeah, we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shares something with us that's incredibly painful, and we are trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as a. We are trying to put a silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Or at least, you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least, you have a marriage. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversation is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I don't actually say, I don't ever know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Natsumi Mori. What is the point of ballet?
A baby cries at birth, a fierce battle or good and evil. At your love, I welcome with a kiss. Sleeping Beauty is one of the world's favorite folk tales. So what makes this piece so beloved? And what exactly does ballet bring to this or any other story? As a head of ballet, dozens of gestures that dancers painstakingly perfect over thousands of hours of practice. Working alongside the orchestra's live scorer, ballerinas precisely perform these combinations to convey narrative, emotion, and character. Of course, the relationship between music and movement isn't always straightforward. Dancers and musicians maintain a delicate balance. Choreographer Marius Puchper and composer Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky work together on every second of the Sleeping Beauty. This is particularly noticeable in Princess Aurora's exuberant entrance on her 16th birthday. Tchaikovsky's enthusiastic music tumbles forward in fits and starts. Once the celebration starts, it's up to the dancers to deliver a physical spectacle or performing the gestures with grace. The Sleeping Beauty of our showcase for so much of what ballet can do. It is graceful spectacle, dramatical physical vocabulary, and enchanting coordination of music and movement perfectly reflect the theme of this fantastical romance. The art form is always experimenting with centuries or set of rules, making it the perfect medium for stories old and new. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And now we have come to the end of the recitations. So I will ask you, we will have an interval of some minutes now while the judges make a decision. So I ask you to be patient.
聴者数ってわかりますか？はい。今70ぐらいですね。さっき180とか90って言ってました。よかったよかった。で、一応倉先生とか李先生とかなんかコメントではないんですけど、アクション。そんなこともできる。
Hello, and thank you for your patience. We have decisions from the judges, so please have a seat. Come in, and well, or if you're too nervous to sit down, that's fine. And when I announce the prize winners, please come up and receive your prize from our Dean, Isaji Sensei, and then please proceed across. You can just walk across here and form a line. And then you will be able to choose your prize after we have announced all the prize winners. I've also been told to say that, as we expected, it was extremely close, extremely difficult job. Thank you very much to our judges. I will start with the 3 special prizes and then proceed to the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st prize. The 3 special prizes are in no order. And again, they were so close. So I will read I will announce the 3 special prizes first. Sayoko Okamoto. Congratulations. Ryoma Akie. Congratulations. Ryoma Nagao. And now, the 4th prize goes to Lisa Shimojo. Congratulations. 3rd prize to Sakura Fukumoto. Second prize to Ayumi Shimizu. Congratulations. And the first prize for the 8th recitation contest goes to Takefumi Ariga. You hear Takefumi? There he is. Congratulations. Now, there are 4 prizes on this table here, and the system, I've been told, is that the first prize winner gets to choose first, and then the second prize winner, and the third prize winner, and the 4th prize winner. And then the 3 prizes on the next table are for the special prize winners. So, Takefumi, you can choose your prize from this table. Oh.
We have iPad, which is the most expensive prize. And we have Apple Watch, which is the secondly expensive one. And the 3rd one is AirPod. And the 4th one is Japanese version of AirPod, which is a lot cheaper, but the quality is there.
So you can choose by resale value or what fits your lifestyle. Ayumi, go ahead. Sakura, your turn. Congratulations. And Lisa. And the 3 special prize winners. Please collect your prize. They're all the same. What are they?
Google Nest.
Thank you very much. Now, we would like at this point to receive some comments from the judges, if that's okay. And maybe the speakers, it's good if you just remain here because then you can hear their words, you can address. Oh, yes, right, okay. To all contestants, there is a prize. There are some prizes remaining, as you can see. Tim Tam biscuits, and they are for all the contestants, so please don't forget to pick up your prize.
All the winners who didn't win a prize.
All the participants who didn't win one of these prizes, yes, you can't have Tim Tam biscuits. If you didn't win one of these prizes, you can pick up a package of biscuits. Who would like to begin? The judges. David, could I begin with you?
This way or this way? Okay, thank you very much. I've been in Japan a long time, and I've done a lot of speech contest judging, and that was the most fun by a long way. I think it was really clear that everybody had practiced so much for that. Sometimes I thought, I think Ryoma, was it? I felt like I was actually watching a TED talk. It was kind of amazing. The only advice, one thing I would say, a lot of you were doing things that were quite passionate, with very strong feelings, but when you do that, that's great, but don't forget that we still have to be able to understand what you can say, what you're saying. So sometimes if you get very angry or very passionate, it becomes a little bit difficult to understand what you're saying at times. So be careful about that. But great job. Thank you very much.
All right, last year my comment was to slow down, and you did. You slowed down, and it was really, really easy to understand so many of the students this year. My comment is actually going to piggyback off of his. You had so much emotion, and it was really good. We could really feel that you felt the same emotions as the people who made the actual speeches. And that's really, really important for stage presence. I think the best thing that all of you did was use the objects around you or the space around you to convey the feelings that you needed to get across to your audience. So you did really, really, really well with that. Speed is one thing, but using the space around you to connect with your audience is a really good form of presentation, and you did an excellent job.
I think this is my 4th year doing this, and this year was extremely tight. It was really, we had an Excel file, and it was really very, very close all the way through. Everyone did an excellent job. And like the other judges said, we really did feel your emotion, and it really was clear that everyone had spent a lot of time. And it was just a really great contest this year, and I think everyone should be proud. Not just these people up here, but the people that didn't win, because it was tough this year, and it really was impressive. And good luck next year for you guys in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd year. And congratulations to you guys. Thank you.
And thank you very much to everyone who has come to watch or is watching on Zoom, because the people that watch this contest make this contest more meaningful, more energetic. Thank you for supporting your friends when they were getting ready to recite, and go out and tell the other students about what these students can do, or what everyone can do. Thank you very much for coming, and I suppose we will wrap up here because we're already over time. Thank you very much.
写真できたら。I'll just check. I'll just check.
Well, maybe not. Maybe they're done. Congratulations.
Okay.
Yeah. We really enjoyed it. Thank you. I enjoyed the office and I enjoyed the board here. He's an official photographer, so we'll go.
写真とかって撮ってもらっても大丈夫ですか。
はい。いいやつで。
いいやつで。
高橋はそしたら外る。カメラ。なんでですか。なんで見えてないですか。写真撮ってほしいって。はい。